It is a great pleasure for us, for me, for being on this event. And I'm sorry in advance, my Hebrew is not at the level of the previous speaker. I would say it's not, it's way behind it. But of course, I mean, even if I don't speak it, there are a lot of, English words. So it was a great session to listen also from colleagues from Gaies. As it was said before, my name is Vitaliy Siciliano. I'm a solution engineering lead here in Okta for the Southern EMEA. And together with me, I will have Mustapha Gaies. Mustapha.
Hello everyone. My name is Mustapha Gaies, solutions engineer at Okta, and very glad to be part of this event.
Yeah. So today I saw, of course, I mean, we perfectly know why everyone is here. It's all about security, right? So security in different fronts. Today, of course, with Mustapha, we will be speaking about the identity, why we believe, we as Okta, but also the whole industry, in this domain, why do we believe that identity is a key, is one of the key components for the final security of your digital assets. And of course, it's also an enabler for your consumers to get the best user experience, right? So often there are two main topics like security and user experience or usability. That's often people are forced to do the trade-off, right? Like more for security or more for the user experience, where we believe that with using modern solutions like our, there could be a better result achieved. And this is what we will do. We will try to share with you today, explaining why Okta could be the right fit for your infrastructure, right? So before we will start, and we will dig into more into the specifics, and actually we will have also a nice session, interactive session, practical session with Mustapha later today. But I just want to ask you to think about yourself, to think about how often and where you use your digital identity, right? How you use it in your private life, like when you connect to anything where your authentication is required, how often you use in your work life, if you are just a consumer of a digital service, could be CRM in cloud, could be, just simply Exchange Online, Gmail, or any mail service. Like, first of all, you need to authenticate yourself, right? You need to show that you are who you are. So think about it, like what would happen to you, to your company, or the company that you work for, if this identity would be compromised, right? You will lose basically yourself. Bad actors could present themselves as you. They can fake to be you. They can do a lot of damage to you individually, but of course to your company, right? That's why we believe that identity is core, right? Because without like compromising it, it's like leaving keys from your door just in front of your door and just leaving it to everyone, right? So that's one important thing that we believe, and I just want, just to do a little thinking about it from everyone. And of course, what we see also that these days identity is fragmented, right? Why we believe so? Because we have a lot of social identities. Some of you may be using Facebook. Some of you may be a bit, let's say, younger, and maybe you are used to Instagram. Maybe you prefer Gmail. Maybe you prefer LinkedIn as a professional social network. But still, there are a lot of identities, a lot of even local identities, right? How often you use one username in a given service? Which password do you use? Is it the same password everywhere? What is not a good idea, but still it can happen. So it is a case for you as a consumer, right? But it's the same for you as an employee of a company. Your company may have dozens of services. For example, we in Okta, we have hundreds of services that without having a single sign-on solution, an IAM solution in place, and of course we use Okta, it would be a nightmare for me because I would need even to remember, or I can bookmark maybe some links, but that's not the best way, right? Then we'll have different passwords. If I use the same password, it's not safe. So what we see that identity is becoming more and more important, but still many companies do treat it in very old way, right? Username, password, local DB, when they develop a service or when they use a certain application, and it doesn't scale. It doesn't scale for consumers because I do not want to spend time just thinking about like which password should I use. Ideally, now many companies are moving towards the passwordless experience, right? What is also an important topic that many of the companies are thinking about, or at least something that reduces the amount of passwords that I need to use. And think about it, you know, that often there are companies that do have multiple services, multiple web services, multiple native applications. Again, how do you manage your credentials there? And it's becoming more complicated once you get into a corporate space. Of course, like, you know, just to share with you a bit about Okta. So Okta is a company. We do only identity. So we operate in identity and access management space since 2009. Company was founded by two persons who were working at that time for Salesforce. So they saw a great opportunity to, you know, to build a SaaS company or cloud company for the identity and access management space. It's identity as itself is not something that we invented, right? It's there for many, many years now, many decades. But what they saw is that it was treated in an old way. And the future was cloud, right? And that's why also we have this event now, right? Cloud is it's not the future, it's reality, right? Everyone is using cloud. You're using it for developing your applications. You're using it for the infrastructure. You're using it to share just photos with your friends, right? In a private life. I don't know if you use maybe Google Drive or any of the file shares that you know, it's just easy, just comfortable to share a file, share data between you and your peers. So we as a company, as I said, we only do identity. In this slide, you see Okta 2 times because actually we have Okta as company that was started in 2009. And last year, Okta did an acquisition of a company called OutZero. OutZero, they started the company. I mean, the company was started in 2013, so a few years later after Okta. And the initial objective of OutZero was identity and access management solution for consumer identity space built by developers for developers. What I mean by this, of course, and today you will see it, it has a lot of huge flexibility. It can be easily managed using code, so it requires less maintenance. And you know, as you can see, we are definitely recognized by the market. Okta is a leader. So, you know, just so you know that we know this space, right? So we work in it like every day. Myself, Mustapha, and other 6,000 employees that our company has. We do speak about identity like sometimes 7-8 hours per day, because sometimes we also speak about different topics. But as you can imagine, most of our days are fully used by identity projects, by identity questions. So you know we know this space. That's the main message that I would like to leave you. And of course, market and companies like Gartner, they do recognize us as a leader, what also means something. So you get an idea. We do have more than 20,000 cows, so 15,000 customers Okta, and others some tens of thousands OutZero worldwide. So it's like you can imagine the scale of the product, the scale of the solution that we can propose to our customers. Getting more into specifics, what do we see is actually, and if you think about it from the consumer perspective or customer perspective, what do users want, right? First of all, everyone wants the frictionless experience, right? So I just want to get to the service. I want to buy something. I don't want to spend time in thinking about which password should I use. I want to have a nice registration experience. I don't want to fill up like 20 fields. And for example, yesterday, I was buying a ticket for the train for one of the main railway companies in Europe. Just don't want to name it, but you know, it's really one of the major countries in Europe. And to register, they forced me to just to buy a ticket online. They forced me to fill up around 15 attributes, to put my identification document, to put my address, even if I live in a different country. I do not live in this country, but they still forced me to put the address, to put my zip code. Of course, I can put everything fake if I don't want to share it, but still it's a horrible user experience, right? And this is why user experience is becoming key, because at the end of the day, if I'm spending a lot of time here, I would rather prefer a different service if I have alternatives, of course. And then, of course, there is security topic, right? Security is important. The service has to be safe. We cannot afford losing data. Any company shouldn't be affording, you know, losing data. but still there is a complexity coming with it, right? So you need to manage it, and if it's not the cloud product, you need to deploy it, you need to guarantee the certain SLA. So it's messing up together, and it's becoming a friction. And of course, what we see, just to give you some numbers, that frictionless experience is a priority for companies, right? So they want to give the best user experience that they can. At the same time, they face security issues at scale, because once you start facing hundreds of thousands of users, then you need to think about scalabilities, and you need to think about the security of your service, because you will be targeted by bad actors, because more users, more benefits, if you can put it this way, for bad actors that potentially will or could try to violate your service. They get more data, basically, right? And that's the main objective, that this bad actors, I don't know if they're bad or not, but still this is their objective, right? And of course, we see that every business, and here you can think about any company that operates online, they will be facing very similar challenges, right? So they do become targets of attacks. They do face complexity in managing everything, just because complexity comes with different ways of, like, different users. Could be if you operate in consumer space, or you operate in business to business, you may have these persons that needs access to your service. You may have your employees, you might have your partners. So the identity is very, very miscellaneous, right? Most likely you don't have only one use case. You may have many use cases, right? But then also what makes it even more complicated is, like, these users need to access to multiple services, multiple applications through different social providers, different from different devices, using different APIs. So you see where the complexity is coming from. And of course, like, putting in the middle between the service and the user, a solution like ours will help you, first of all, to simplify everything, because here on the level of our solution, you have SDKs, you have APIs, you have a lot of already functionalities that is built into the product. You don't need to, reinvent the wheel. And also you have a strong security footprint, because you can use a contextual access. We can capture signals from different sources, different systems. So it makes basically your service more reliable and more secure. And coming to the user experience, what we see is, like, if you think about you're building a new service, right? So what do you want to provide? First of all, you want the users to be able to register to your service with a minimal friction, right? Maybe just username, sending an email, magic link, user gets into your service. Then, of course, user uses your service, and maybe you need some more attributes. So maybe you'll be using a progressive profiling. So you will be enriching the profile of the user. Then you want to automate things, right? So you don't want to have a lot of manual stuff. You want things to be automated. Maybe sending some information to the user, to different systems. And this, of course, we using our solution could be automated. Then you want a secure authentication, no doubts about it, using some contextual data, so basically risk-based authentication. You want to allow your users to be empowered to manage their profile, right? So simplifying the profile management. Then there is, in some countries, some places, there is something called consent management and privacy. So depends really to which market you operate, what is required by law, but still you want to have this flexibility, right? So at the end, we are getting to this omni-channel digital experience. So basically, as we said, you may have web, you may have native application, you may have users reaching you from some messengers. In some cases, for example, we faced projects where the conversation starts from a WhatsApp business account, right? And you want to authenticate users also in these systems. So that was just a brief introduction about us as a company, about product. What we thought with Mustapha is to share with you a practical example of what we see in the market. And for this, I will pass control of the screen to Mustapha. And again, we did not say it at the beginning, of course, but we are more than happy to take questions from you. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and myself and Mustapha will do our best to pick them up during our session.
Great. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, Mustafa, if I may just ask you, so usually, you know, I said before that we do, I mean, we speak about identity every day, hopefully not 7 days per week, but a bit less. But you know, where usually you see most of the friction, like what usually customers require?
Yes. So maybe the easiest way to share that video is to show you an example. So let's take a fictitious company, okay? This business is a travel business. So basically, Travel Zero will sell trips and travels to their customers. So it's a B2C uh, company. Imagine you are a customer. What is the worst thing that can happen to you? Imagine you look at the trips, you look at the locations, and you think, "Wow, I just want to buy a trip and get there." So you click sign in, and you don't have an account. Okay, so at this stage, you need to sign up. To do that, it's pretty simple. You would just click sign up. Just a minute.
You see that it's live, so it's not pre-recorded, not you know, not faked. Some technical challenges could
Right.
always happen.
So
Yeah.
imagine you're the customer, you just want to sign up. At this stage, you click sign up, and whoa, you need to fill up all these attributes, you need to share all this information just to create an account. Okay, and this is actually what we see. This is what our customers tell us when we meet them. A lot of friction is coming from the registration process. Okay, you might have a self registration form, but if this form is too complex, or if you're asking too much information just to register, you might lose some prospects, and your conversion rate might drop. So using Auth0, using our solutions, we are actually able to solve that. So let's go back to our website. Here, instead of just showing this form, we will provide a different experience. Okay, this time I will click sign up, and all I need to do in order to create an account is to enter an email and the password. Okay, so let's grab an email address real quick. I will enter an email and then my password. You can see that as I enter my password, I can see all the rules here that must apply to this password. And you can see that the password I chose actually complies with these rules. At this stage, I just click continue, and that's it. I'm in. I'm ready to order. Okay. So as you can see, this is really a straightforward experience, really easy to use for the end user. And at this stage, I can go to my profile, and here I can enter additional information about me if I wanted to. Okay. So if I want to update my information, I could do it here. And actually, this information will be stored in our solution and will be shared across all Travel Zero's apps. Okay, so the user doesn't need to enter the same information each time on different apps. You just do it once, and the information will be replicated across all your apps. So that's one of the biggest issue we see when we meet customers, and this is how we solve it.
And Mustapha, so it looks great, and this is exactly what you said, right, about progressive profiling. So you don't want to stress a user asking dozens of attributes. You just want the user to give you the minimal data that you need just to let them in, because then I was discussing it with one of the customers in Italy that, of course, like it's a retail, an online retail company. For them, every millisecond, that sounds crazy, but every millisecond could impact, right, certain portion of revenue. So millisecond between you as a user getting in and you as a user clicking on purchase online. In fact, if some of you used, I don't know, Amazon, to give you an idea, that's like, they memorize your card, you just need to click buy and that's it. Just because they don't want you to think about buying it, because then you can change your idea, then you can, spend some time, you can switch competitors. It's all about like time in these segments. So coming to the practical part, so you showed the example about travel industry, right? And that's, of course, one of, these days, especially like we are recovering from COVID, it's getting back. But what about other industries, because I imagine like out of all the participants, there are guys from high tech, guys from, financial sector, different sectors. Like what can we offer? What can you offer for them?
Right. So yeah, I showed you an example for the travel industry, but actually using our solution, you will be able to apply your own branding to your authentication flow. So here, for example, still referring to Travel Zero, I can go to my settings. So this is our admin console. And here I can update the branding using this single pane of glass. So here I'm actually able to apply a different branding. If I wanted to, I can change the colors. I can change the fonts, okay, that I use. I can even update. I can even change the background. Could use a different color. Could use an image. So yeah, using our solution, it's really easy to customize the branding and even apply a different branding for all your apps. So if you have different brands within the same, so if in your company you have different brands, you can even apply different brands if you wanted to. So really easy to use for your admins and for your marketing team.
Sounds great. And if so, I'm a developer, right? So I need to develop. I'm developing a new service. I need to add the identity into it. Why should I go with Okta, right? What can you offer me?
Yes. So once again, if you think about identity, actually identity is very complex. So maybe your first thought is all I need is an authentication page. Let me build it. Okay, won't take that long, and maybe this is what some of your developers are thinking. Okay, let's build the identity component. But actually, it's more complicated than that. You need some flexibility. You need something. You need the identity component, the identity solution to be maintainable, and this is very difficult to do with custom code. Also, if your developers spend time on working on this identity solution, they are not working on other components that can bring value to your business. So the thing is, when it comes to identity, the most efficient approach is just to use an already existing solution, a trusted coming from a trusted partner, a trusted vendor, and let your developers work on things that can actually bring value to your business. And from a developer perspective, this solution is actually very easy to use. So I already showed you the branding part, but actually we bring the same level of flexibility and ease of use for everything else. So for example, if you want to add some social login, okay, let's say that you want to allow your users to authenticate using Google or Facebook or any other social connection. Actually, using our platform, it's really easy to add a new connection. We already have all of them built in the platform, whereas um, building this on your own would take time and effort. Same thing with security. We already provide a lot of security features out of the box. Okay, we provide both detection, we can detect suspicious activity on your tenant. We can detect if someone is trying to brute force accounts and block that automatically. Same thing, using what we call rules, we're actually able to extend the authentication flow and add some extra steps. Okay, so you can, for example, really easily integrate with the already existing CRM to create a new lead every time a new customer sign in. Okay, so yeah, it's really easy to use, very flexible, and it's already built in. You don't have to think about it. You can just use this solution, and your developers can focus on your business. And of course, it's really easy to customize using a low code to pro code approach. You can customize everything I've shown today.
Before we move next, we have actually a question from Sashi, and sorry if I mispronounced your name. So, question, Mustapha, about like what are the benefits of Okta comparing to other authentication services? And here I don't want to, you know, make names of some of the competitors, but in this case, Sashi named Cognito from AWS. Again, if you can maybe share some of your thoughts, what you see in fields, you know, with your customers, because yes, Sashi, you're right. This space or this market is quite competitive, right? We have different competitors, different companies, but still, you know, if you look on number of customers, success that we as a company having, it probably means that we have something. But I will just leave the stage to Mustapha to answer maybe this question, and thank you for the question coming. That's great.
Yeah, thank you for your question. So actually, if you look at the competitors, the main differentiators are the security features. So I mentioned the attack protection component with the bot detection, suspicion activity, and so on. But we also provide a lot of MFA factors. So if you want to enable to 2FA or MFA, we provide a lot of options out of the box. That's not the case for most of our competitors. For example, if you're looking at passwordless authentication, okay, it's a nice way of providing secure and seamless experience with your end user that might be difficult with other vendors. Whereas with Auth0, it's already built in. Okay, just need to enable it, and that's it. You're ready to go. Same thing, we provide an SDK for push notifications. So if you want to use mobile devices, okay, as a second factor and enable push notifications, same thing, it's already built in. Just take our SDK, integrate it with your app, and that's it. You're ready to go. So security is one of the main the main differentiator. Another one is, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, if I may add here, on top of what Mustafa said, so think about service like our, not only like authentication and that's it, right? Because then at the end of the day, if you just need a username and a password, yeah, you can do it relatively easy with many products, even yourself. There are open source projects, right, that allow you to do this. But think about it like then when you have different user stores, you need a social provider, you need to maybe read from a database, write to a database. So when things are getting complicated, this is where solution like our will help you basically to save some time. That's the main objective, right? Save some time and keep it secure, right? And
Yeah.
sorry, Mustafa, for interrupting on this.
No, and actually, this was actually my next point. We bring a lot of flexibility, and this is what our customers love. It's really easy to extend the platform capabilities. For example, we have what we call the marketplace, and in there you will find thousands of built-in integrations to integrate with third-party systems. So I mentioned CRMs. If you want to integrate with your CRM solution, really easy to do. We have social login. We can also integrate with security solutions. We provide identity proofing, concept management, and yeah, if you want to do this with a solution with like Cognito, you might need custom functions. You might need Lambda functions to extend the platform. Here, it's already built in. Same thing for the authentication flow. We already provide hundreds of rules. These are small components that you can add to your authentication flow to do some actions. And as you can see, we already have dozens, if not hundreds of them already built in. So yeah, security, flexibility, and branding, these are the main differentiators, I would say.
The extensive answer, Mustafa. So just, last topic that I would like to touch. So, we see a lot of customers that maybe start, just with something relatively small because maybe they just started a new service. But then, of course, they hope that the service is having success, service is growing, user base is growing. So that's the main goal of everyone, of course. How Okta and Auth0 could support me during this growth phase.
Yeah, so we can support you in different ways. First, we are a cloud native company with more than 10 years in this industry. Okay, so we gathered a lot of experience, and we are 100% cloud, meaning that our solution is fully scalable. Okay, so if your company is growing fast, we can support you with that. Same thing, if you have like spikes in loads because you are a retail company and you have spikes in loads during some months in the year, we can support you with that as well. So scalability, we check the box. Our solution is also very reliable. So if you look at our architecture, we have redundancy everywhere. We deploy our solution across multiple availability zones and multiple regions, cloud regions. So at this stage, we are actually able to provide a 4 nines availability time, and we are even getting closer to a 5 nines availability time. And you can check this on our Auth0 status webpage. So the last point is SLAs. Actually, we guarantee SLAs, meaning that once you get our solution, you're sure to we will make sure that you always get the same level of service no matter what. And this is something we are very committed to, and this is something we monitor very closely. So these are all the benefits of working with a cloud native solution.
Sounds great, Mustapha. Thank you. And just to add on what we said before at the beginning, when I was saying, think about the importance of identity for you, right? Now, what I would like to ask you is think about if something goes wrong with identity service in your company. Like, what will happen? Your customers, your consumers, most likely they are not able to access to your service, right? What actually means impact in your business. Then these days, when you are having some problems, like, I don't know, one service is inaccessible, think about the social media, like what damage it can generate you if your customers cannot access, right? Everyone will go to Twitter now, will be like writing, doing screenshots like, oh, this service, it doesn't work. I cannot get into this and that. So that's a huge damage to your brand, right? To your company. So this is more like from the consumer perspective. And of course, things can go wrong easily, right? So things can go wrong like at any step. And then think about it, you as employee, right? So if you cannot authenticate to your services, what you will do? Like, I don't know you, but these days, if my authentication service doesn't work, I cannot send emails, I cannot communicate with my colleagues on Slack, I cannot, you know, I wouldn't even be able to speak now with you here because, for example, our company is using a federated identity with Zoom. So I wouldn't even be able to call someone via Zoom. So it's basically getting back like 20 years in history, just being unable to use all of these nice digital services, right? That's why we believe, again, and I think there are some reasons why we believe so, that the identity is key. And if it goes wrong, it could be easily go very badly, right? So from 0 to 100, it goes like super fast. And of course, the next challenge is users will see that service doesn't work. That's again, the complaints internally, externally. So that's a bit, the challenge that we see. And of course, using reliable service like ours, or what Mustapha said before, is key for your company success. At the same time, you get the best product from flexibility, security, and reliability, even if I used maybe some buzzwords, right? So, but still think about it, right? Think about what is important for your company. Think what you want to give to the users and to your employees, basically. Yeah, I don't know, Mustafa, anything to add from your side? If not, I will switch back to the presentation. I have a very important slide.
Yeah, no, I think we can wrap this up and take some questions if you have any. So
Yeah,
feel
I
free
see
feel free to put them in the chat.
Yeah, I see the question from the anonymous attendee. So sorry, I don't know your name, but the question is, in the integration between on-premise and ID and Okta, do the users have to be synchronized to Okta, or there are scenarios that do not require synchronization? So I assume this is more employee use case, right? Because we have AD into the equation. So what would you recommend in this case?
So for B2E use cases and B2B use cases, yes, we can integrate with your already existing AD. Actually, we don't need to synchronize passwords. Okay, I know that this is usually the main concern. So we do not import passwords ever, never. You just need to basically import the username and that's it. So if you look at our solution, we will install a connector on your premises, and the only thing that will be imported to the cloud is the username. The password will stay in the AD, and we will send authentication requests to the AD on the fly when the customers sign in. Okay, so we don't need to import anything else than the username.
Yeah, Thank you, Mustapha. And just to recap what we said, like I'm sure about it. You are already our user, right? What I'm trying to say by this, there are thousands of services using Octa, using Cloud0. Of course, it's branded. You don't see the product itself, but you already used our product, right? In some nice services, you already benefited from what we said today, from benefits of our product. And in fact, if you want to see some customer references, or you would like to give maybe some more details about what we said today, what we discussed, to see some more examples and maybe test the product, we are happy to help you. Here you have some of the names of our customers. These are public references, so you can check the customer story, you can check what brought them to us, what benefits they got from using our solution. By this, I just want to thank you. I hope this Google Translate helped me to translate the easy words, that it's not never, you cannot thank too much people. So I really thank you for your time, your attention, your interest. I hope it was interesting to understand just a bit. Of course, 45-minute slot. It's difficult, and with Mustapha, when we were preparing, we're like, oh, we would like also to speak about this. As you can imagine, we can speak a lot about identity, about this domain, but then of course we had to deal with a time slot that we had. As I said, I hope that it was useful. You got a better idea about who we are, what we can do, and especially what are the potential benefits that you can gain from, using our solution. That was it from our end. I will just stop for a few minutes more to see if there are any other questions coming from the audience. If not, yeah, I just want to thank everyone again.